Howdy, guys. Welcome to Cliff Notes and welcome to a recap of episode 6 of the Challenge Double Agents. Man, another episode, action-packed, all kinds of things going on. But before we talk about this episode, let's do a quick refresher on last week's episode. First thing, Natalie, who won a gold skull, the very first gold skull of the season back in week 1. Unfortunately, we find out we are losing Natalie from the competition. She's having to drop out for personal reasons. I hate to see that. I truly do. She's such a strong competitor. I think her social game was doing great. I really was expecting a lot of great things out of Natalie this season. Heck, I think she maybe could have won it or at least gotten herself into the final with it. So we've lost Natalie. Thoughts and prayers go out to her. I really hope we see her next season or one of the seasons following, because I hated to see her have to leave. But with Natalie gone, we do see a new female contestant come into the game, and we've seen her before. Who could it be? Yes, indeed, it's millionaire Ashleigh, who was eliminated in week 1 by Natalie. She's back. She's getting a second life in the game, and she is coming in a little hot and bothered with some of the people who voted her into the Elimination Arena week number 1. She is ready to give some paybacks back into this game itself. So that ought to be a little bit exciting. Now, the other thing from last week, in the Elimination Arena, we did see Anisa and Tori go up against each other, which was hard. They're not just allies. They were friends with each other, so they didn't want to have to go up against one another, but that's the way it worked out. Tori, a little bit of a surprise. She's usually such a strong comp beast, but in this particular situation, she had some issues. Anisa played pretty well during the competition, and sure enough, Anisa wins the elimination. Tori's going home. Anisa now has the only current gold skull for the women, and she now gets to pick who she wants as her new partner. If y'all recall, she and Fessy originally were partners. Fessy won an elimination. He booted Anisa to the curb, and Anisa's gonna give a little bit of payback. I call it irony, call it karma. I kind of call it hilarious, but Anisa gets a chance, and she grabs Fessy and she drags him right back into the fold and says, "Come on back, partner, you and I once again," which I thought was rather funny. Fessy did not want that, but he was nice and kind to her, and he didn't say it outright. But we already have seen that Fessy doesn't trust Anisa on long endurance type competitions. That's not who he wants as his partner, but he didn't get the choice this week, now did he? So we'll see how that plays out this week and through the rest of the season as well. So we see everyone coming back from the elimination. Once they get into the house, we see some different groups kind of peel off to different rooms and such. But the primary conversation at this point in time begins to focus on Teresa. Now, Teresa is a little interesting because it seems like she's got a pretty good relationship between the newbie, the women newbies and the women vets as well. Teresa's been on this show for, I think, 7 seasons. I mean, she's definitely a vet in her own right, but maybe she doesn't have quite the reputation as some of these other really strong females, or maybe her social game is just such that the newbies trust her a little bit more than some of the others because she has been working with the newbies and the vets at the same time. It's coming back to bite her just a little bit because a lot of the vets are now worried about how trustworthy she is. In particular, Nani and Cam and Ashleigh, she's on their radar, worried that she's just not working with them as closely as she should. But they're not the ones who call her out. Now, the one who calls Teresa out is Lolo. And I really don't get why Lolo felt it necessary for her to be the one to try to correct Teresa or tell her everything. But she tells Teresa, she says, "Look, you and Anisa were supposed to be friends, and yet, we know that you knew Anisa was going in, and you didn't say anything to her or anything else, and you can't do that. You got to be honest and trustworthy and all that." And it's funny watching Teresa. Teresa's trying to say, "Hey, this game, you can't always be 100% honest. I'm trying to do the best I can, but it is what it is." And Lolo's calling her out. Lolo's played a special version of the challenge before. She's been on Big Brother, celebrity version before. So she knows, that you can't always be honest. You just can't get caught when you're not being honest. But she's still calling her out. And Teresa just starts backing off. I think Teresa's probably seen Lolo in Celebrity Big Brother, knows that Lolo can get a little bit of a temper when she wants to and needs to. So Teresa says, "Yeah, I'm trying to fix. I hate that I did that. I'm going to try to correct everything." So she tries to calm Lolo down as much as she can, but she's definitely on the radar and a little more nervous about the big players. I think she probably at this point is realizing that They don't think that she has their back, so they probably don't have her back. So this may be prodding Teresa a little bit more towards the newbie side as a result, and we're going to see if that is indeed the case as we get later into the episode itself. But we then transition to another topic that's going on, and this one involves Leo. Leo, the brand new player, this is his first year. He came over from wrestling. He may be the first wrestling person that came over to the challenge. But anyway, he's come over. I've really been cheering for Leo. I think he's underestimated. I think he potentially could surprise some people, but it's not going to be this season. He starts talking about the fact that he's under a little bit of stress. Waking up in the morning with a bunch of strangers in his room brings up some recollections from his childhood that aren't so pleasant. And as he thinks more about it, he ends up making the decision to leave the game. And he tells everyone, or he announces it when they're all in front of TJ. TJ announces that sure enough, Leo has left the game. And that's rough because I really was cheering. I wanted to see Leo surprise some people and just catch some people off guard. But lots of credit to TJ. TJ's come down really hard on people who quit the game in the past when they quit for reasons of they didn't like someone, or they thought they were getting ready to get sent home already, or they just were tired, things like that. But TJ gives Leo, says, mental health issues, I fully support it. Leo, you got to take care of yourself. And I absolutely agree. Man, no one knows what's going on in his head other than Leo, and he's got to do what's best for him and for his family. And so thoughts and prayers go out to Leo as well. Hated to see you go, but I fully support you doing what you got to do, my friend. So we've lost Leo as well. Now that makes it a little interesting because as I mentioned earlier in this recap, we had more men than women sitting in the house. And was that going to affect whose elimination it was? With Leo gone, now we have equal number of men and women, but we've got a lot more men with gold skulls than women. So it makes me really think this will be a women's elimination tonight at the end of the episode. So we do have that. The other thing is that after Tori got sent home last week, it meant that Devin, her partner, was a rogue agent. He didn't have anyone to compete with. But now with Leo gone, we also have Gabby. Gabby came over from UK Love Island. Now she doesn't have a partner. So TJ puts Devin and Gabby together as a new duo, which means for the double agent, the competition challenge that's getting ready to come up, everyone's competing. Everyone has a chance to win this thing and control the power for this particular week. So onto the challenge itself, and what a challenge it is. Oh my gosh, this is what I look forward to when I watch this show. This particular competition is a race, but not just any race. It's a 5-mile race. And they aren't on any kind of track or road or anything else. No, this is cross country. They're going over little hills and some terrain and sand and rocks and things like that. Ice cold water, not ice, freezing cold water. It looked miserable. Looked really cold. And they aren't just racing 5 miles. No. They've got to carry a cylinder. Each duo has a cylinder they have to carry together. And this thing looks like it's probably about 6 feet long. They call it a cylinder. It looks like a big old log to me. I think it's hollow. It's fiberglass steel. I'm not sure what it is, but it still looks pretty heavy. They have to carry this thing together the entire 5 miles. Throughout the race, there's a couple of checkpoints. One, you have to put your cylinder into a little hole of a wall that lets you use a cylinder like a step or a ladder to then crawl up and over the wall, help each other over. There's another checkpoint where you drop your log and you actually have to solve a puzzle. Lots of little cubes that with numbers on them. When you line them up correctly, they'll add up to 36 or 38 every single direction, I think, something like that. But there are a couple of checkpoints along the way. But first person to get through those checkpoints, get through the 5 miles and get to the end wins the power for the week. And it looks like a horrible challenge. Jay and Teresa start off looking pretty strong. Lolo and Nam, on the other hand, not doing well. Now, Lolo's a track athlete. You would think she would do fantastic on this. Nam won Beastmaster, I think, over in Germany, some competition of that sort. So strong, fast, endurance and everything else. And yet they just can't get along on how fast to go, how to carry the log. Lolo's arguing with Nam. He's not arguing back. He's just not talking a lot at all, which Lolo doesn't. She can't stand that at all. So they're not getting along well at all. Also, Fessy and Anisa are they're pretty much at the back of the pack. Fessy didn't want Anisa, and it just makes me wonder. I'm sure all these challenges are all lined up before the season even starts, but there's a part of me that says, did the producer just say, oh, Anisa got Fessy back. Let's give a 5-mile challenge and just poke Fessy a little bit and just show him how it's going to be with Anisa as a partner. I don't think that's the case, but it's fun thinking about because they're not doing well at all. At one point, Fessy's carrying the log or the cylinder all by himself. Anisa's just kind of holding her hand up at the back of it to steady it, I guess. But he's really doing all the work. She's just trying to make it through 5 miles. So again, Lola and Nam, Fessy and Anisa are at the back. Jay and Teresa are certainly more up to the front. They get through the checkpoint with a ladder type thing, okay. But then they get to the puzzle checkpoint. And that was pretty interesting. Ashleigh and Corey, her partner, they really dominate at this point in time. They solve the puzzle. They get back on the track faster than anyone else. They're doing well. Behind them are Jay and Teresa, who also solved the puzzle. Unfortunately for Ashleigh and Corey, I think it's Corey who apparently makes the decision, but Corey leads them the wrong direction. They take the wrong turn. I don't know how you do it. It wasn't that much hills. It was fairly flat, but somehow they take a wrong turn, go off the wrong direction. By the time they realize it, Jay and Teresa have gotten ahead of them, are in first place with Corey and Ashleigh then in second place. Now, everyone else doing this puzzle competition, it is not their puzzle competition because they're all having problems, every single one. Fessy and Anisa, they do finish their puzzle, but they're so far behind at this point, it doesn't really matter anyway. Everyone else, they time out. I think after 15 or 20 minutes, you time out. You then can proceed to do the race after that. And I think everyone else times out. So it really starts turning into just a race between the top two teams. Ashleigh and Corey try to catch up to Jay and Teresa, but they can't do it. And so sure enough, Jay and Teresa take the lead because of the wrong turn from Ashleigh and Corey, and Jay and Teresa win the entire competition. And I think that's really important. Again, Teresa is a little bit worried about who has her back or who doesn't have her back at this point in time. Now, it's kind of interesting at this point in time that when Jay and Teresa finish and then everyone else starts coming across the finish line, no one seems that excited that Jay and Teresa won. Is it because they're tired, or is it because they don't really know where Jay and Teresa are? Is it because Jay and Teresa don't really have any strong allies in this house right now? I tend to think it may be a little bit more that. I just think Jay and Teresa are just playing the middle a little bit. No one really knows what to think, which could be a little dangerous for these two, but not this week because they've won the power. And in last place in this competition is Fessy and Anisa. Now, I don't know if it really matters. They both have gold skulls. They're not going to volunteer to go into the arena at all, but there's still people who may call out Anisa and try to put her back in the ring just to try to get her gold skull at some point in the future. But they finish in last place. I'm sure if Fessy has his chance somewhere down the road, he's going to try to switch partners yet again. But here's the thing. He can't really do that. The only way he does that is if he wins in the Elimination Arena, and he's already got his gold skull, so he doesn't want to go back down there. So the only way Fessy will ever get that power is if he gets called into the arena by someone who wants his gold skull, if he goes in involuntarily. So it's kind of interesting strategy to see if he's going to get the chance to switch partners or not on down the road. But again, Jay and Teresa have won, so they have all the power in the house at this point in time. And we then see the two of them talking to each other. And Jay's telling Teresa, he said, hey, I kind of want to split up a strong team at this point in time. He says, yeah, I know we could put up a really weak girl and you could then go against her and get your gold skull and all that, but I'd rather go after a strong person, a strong team instead. And Teresa's all for it. Teresa's saying, hey, let's go after Ashleigh. I'd love to send Ashleigh home yet again. Let's take care of that. And I tend to... She wants to do that, and I get it, but we see a voiceover where Ashleigh's talking about, hey, why wouldn't you put up a weak girl? Get your skull, Teresa. Don't worry about everyone else. Just get your skull because there's only 5 for each gender, we think, 10 total. Why wouldn't you just do that? And I tend to agree with that from Ashleigh's standpoint, but that's not what Teresa does or wants to do. Teresa wants to go after a strong player instead. And we, at this point in time, see the House deliberation talking about who may or may not go home. It seems like it's kind of coming down to probably either Ashleigh or Amber M. At one point, I think it's Leroy who says, hey, lots of people have mentioned Ashleigh. So, it's at that point, Ashleigh does know that she's absolutely in the conversation. She makes a pretty good argument. She talks about the fact that, hey, if you vote me and Corey in, there's a good chance that Teresa's not going to volunteer herself to come into the ring to go up against me, which means one of you other women are going to come in against me. And you know I'm a strong player. I've won so many competitions, and there's a good chance you're going to go home. So why would you vote me in the first place? I think it's a strong argument, but does it work? Well, as it turns out, the nominated duo is Ashleigh and Corey. So no, her argument had some merit, but it did not work. We see in the bunker room, Jay and Teresa are in there. 9 votes have been cast, mainly the newbies, who all teamed up to send Ashleigh and Corey to the Elimination Arena. And Ashleigh and Corey, they are upset because apparently a lot of people lied to them. A lot of people say, you're good. I'm not going to vote you in. And they did it after all. So Ashleigh and Corey are not happy to be going in once they find out that that's the case. Now, they don't find out till they get to the Elimination Arena, but they're pretty upset at that point in time. Teresa, at this point, says, I'm not going against Ashleigh. I have no plans to go in. And Jay says, look, I'll go however you want. You make the call on who you want to send in up against Ashleigh and Corey, and I'm fine with it. So that's where we're at. So we get to the Elimination Arena, and who does Teresa pick? Well, Teresa does not put herself in, but she picks instead Cam and Kyle, which, I guess that makes sense to put them up against Ashleigh and Corey. The problem is that they do this after Teresa had already told Cam that she would only put Cam in the Elimination Arena if Cam wanted to. If Cam saw the elimination coming up, once she knew who she would be going up against, if she wanted to do it at that point, then let Teresa know and she'd put her in. But otherwise, she's not doing it. I don't think Teresa and Cam are that close to one another. They're not allies. I don't believe that. They're just not that close together where I see why Teresa would ever need to give information or make promises, especially if she didn't think she's going to keep them or not. I think she would have been better off just saying, I'm not sure what's going to happen. Let me know if you want to go in, but I'm keeping everything in mind. But she doesn't. She just outright says, I'll only put you in if you want. And then she doesn't do that. So she's going to have Cam really upset at her. And Kyle is upset as well. It just didn't work out well at all. Teresa does that. Jay had told, I believe, Corey at one point that he was safe, even though he already knew that he was going into the Elimination Arena. He'd already seen the votes, and he didn't tell Corey. And then later, I believe it may have been on the bus out to the Elimination Arena, he may have winked at Kyle. Says he winked at him or something to suggest to him that he was safe as well. So Jay was in a tough spot. I think he didn't want to reveal anything he didn't have to, but now he's got Corey and Kyle both upset with him because he told them they were good, or at least implied that they were good, and that wasn't the case. So they've put Kyle and Cam in the ring, and that's upset a lot of people. At this point, the big question, men or women? Well, as we kind of suspect, it's a women's elimination. So it's going to be either Cam or Ashleigh going home. And this is a pretty cool competition as well, pretty cool challenge. Each of the 2 women starts off in a harness, standing on a steel column with a bunch of posts all around them. And the idea is you have to start running, make some contact with this post, and start developing a swing back and forth. They've got 6 rings attached to their body, and each of these posts has a hook on it. So they have to get enough swing going on that they can put a hook on each of these posts, or put the ring on each of these hooks on the post. The first one to put all 6 rings on their post wins. The other person goes home. When the very beginning, it looks like Cam's having some issues. She just can't get her rhythm going quite right. Ashleigh looks like she's doing a little bit better. But once Cam figures it out, she's swinging back and forth. She's looking like she's an old pro at it. And Ashleigh just starts getting a little frustrated, a little exasperated. At one point, it looks like she just almost throws one of her rings trying to get on one of these hooks, and it doesn't work. And sure enough, it turns out not even close. I think the final score is that Cam hooks all 6 of hers, and Ashleigh maybe only had 2 rings. So it just wasn't Ashleigh's night again tonight. And so we're going to lose Ashleigh, and Cam now has the 2nd gold skull amongst the women after tonight's episode. And we've got a lot of upset people. Leroy and Kyle are both making threats to Jay and Teresa. Ashleigh is telling Cam, make sure you get Teresa out of the game, do whatever it takes. We even see a voiceover of Jay saying, man, I don't know exactly what I was thinking, telling them they were safe. They're all mad at me. And I don't disagree perhaps with the strategy of putting Cam and Kyle into the ring against Ashleigh and Corey. You could argue either way perhaps, but I don't think the discussions around it were handled well, and there's going to be quite the price to pay as a result. It just, even though Teresa and Jay had the power this week, it just didn't quite go their way. They've got a lot of people upset of them. It doesn't look like they've got any strong allies to watch their back. Their best hopes is that other people create bigger targets so they can just blend back into the woodwork and hope that people kind of forget about them and go after bigger targets on down the road. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're in trouble from this point on, but we shall see. But funny as well, because Fessy got in a lot of issues as well for some of the decisions he made of going into the ring. He got Josh mad and Anisa mad because he didn't keep her as a partner. To some degree, I almost think, well, maybe Fessy is okay with everyone getting mad at Jay and Teresa. Maybe this saved him a little bit. Although, based on some previews of next week's episode, looks like Corey's still holding that grudge against Fessy, and I don't think that's gone away at all. So we got a lot of people who've won a lot of power, but also upset a lot of people in the way that they use the power. Hey, that's what the challenge is all about, right? How do you handle it when you have that power? But one final thing to take care of for this week. Cam has won, so she now has the power to pick a new partner or keep Kyle or do whatever she wants. I guess she could have done all kinds. She can't pick Jay, but it would have been fun for her to pick someone just completely off the wall just to screw around with people. But she doesn't. She says, I'm sticking with my partner. I'm sticking with Kyle, and I think that was probably the best chance for the best thing for Cam to do. It is interesting. We now have two duos who have gold skulls. Both partners have gold skulls. Fessy and Anisa both have them. Now Cam and Kyle both have gold skulls. So those two duos are going to have no desires to go back into the elimination ring in the future. Doesn't mean someone else may not call them into the ring, but they're not going to volunteer to do anything going forward. So we'll see how that plays out. So there you have it, guys. Another exciting episode. Again, we lose Ashleigh for the second time, and we got a lot of people upset at Jay and Teresa, and we will see how that pans out next week. Guys, y'all have a fantastic week. I'll be here for episode 7 of the challenge. Until then, cheers, my friends. Have a great one. Bye.